We have some citizen input this morning from Kurt.
Last night at the Sac City Planning and Zoning meeting, it was the question was left hanging because nobody knew. At what point does the county take over a property? After how many years of unpaid taxes does the county? 2.5.
Well, that's not really accurate either. The property, you can start the paperwork to assume that property after 2.5 years, but the door is still open as to whether anybody wants to assume it or not. The door is open for that to happen, but we are not by code forced to assume property. There has to be a clear resolution to doing something with it before we would do that. We've done it in the past, a time or two, where people have come forward and said that they would like to have the property. We've assumed it and then transferred it right away, just to get it back on the tax roll. But
so it's 2.5 years from the anniversary of the last. It
goes through the tax sale process, and then I think it's approximately 2.5 years when whoever owns the tax sale, who has paid the taxes on it for that length of time, then has the ability to start assuming the property.
So at 2.5 years, then you can, as the county now.
Well, anybody through tax sale,
including the county.
Well, yes.
Okay.
If there's a tax sale purchaser, if somebody comes in and buys those taxes on the tax sale, they are the people who are first in line to start process to assume the property. If no one has ever bought it on tax sale, then the county would have the ability to step up and assume the property if we would determine it's not a liability.
You're saying nobody ever, you're saying the only way you have the ability to do that is if nobody has ever purchased it on tax sale?
That's correct. If people have bought it on tax sale, they would most often they'll continue to pay it through the 2.5 because they have an interest in the property.
But the scenario is then that they don't do that.
They didn't finish they bought it one
Correct.
year.
They
realized they bought it.
I think then, and I could be corrected, but I think if they buy it one time and then discontinue their effort, it still goes through that length of time. And then if somebody would want, including the county, wants to assume it, that person who paid the tax sale, I think, has to sign off on it for the county to possibly assume it.
Are you ever at any point compelled to assume it as a county?
Forced?
Yeah.
Forced? No. If there's a good resolution to get it back on the tax sale, or on the tax roll.
If the last person signs it over to you, then at that point you decide whether to take it. Is that how that works?
Yeah, we have the ability to determine whether it's a liability or not a liability, and we, like in there was a house on North 5th that the city had expressed interest in doing something near the cemetery with. And we assumed that property and abated the taxes on it, transferred to the city, and then they took the house down and used it for their purposes.
Okay.
But you know, there is a scenario where we would end up with the property. Nobody else wanted it.
Only if you agree to take it. We don't naturally become the owner.
No, but like say, well, a business goes bankrupt.
Okay.
And it's dissolved, it's no longer there. And the property taxes keep accumulating, they're delinquent, goes through this. At some point, we end up with it.
Only if you do the paperwork and take ownership to the property. We are not compelled.
What if we don't do that?
It sits there. The code doesn't compel the county to take it, but you can. You agree with that,
Yep.
Jim?
Yeah.
So then, what if it becomes, what if the Department of Natural Resources comes in and say, there's an environmental liability? Can they force?
It would still go back to the owner of the property. Like the gas station fund, that cleanup fund, the county was the only one that was able to get a hold of that, and so the gas stations we needed to assume so we could get at that gas cleanup fund. But normal property, that's not the case. And we only become owners or responsible for the property if we agree to take title to it, and if it's a liability, say there's a significant environmental problem, we don't assume it. You wouldn't want to assume it and take on the debt for that. So.
Does that answer your question?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Well, like the property, you know, right east of the courthouse, there's an old building, and the guy's tearing down the old gas station. And that old building, it's really an eyesore, and the people that own that aren't.
They're up to date on tax.
They are?
Yeah. Yeah.
On which one?
On the Osborne building.
The old shoe store or leather.
Well, the one behind where the guy's doing the car, that's the Osborne building, isn't it?
The taxes are current on that?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's an ugly old building.
And the city is, in the incorporated areas, those buildings would first be a responsibility of the city, but they have trouble in financing taking them over and cleaning them up.
Oldable tore down a whole bunch of old buildings. Didn't they, Jack?
Yeah, that whole block, we go whole north half of Main Street.
Yeah. And those are,
I mean, you guys spent a lot of money.
Well, Lakeview's been pretty good about it too, as far as demolition.
the big thing comes is the environmental issues, if there's asbestos or any of those kinds of things.
I doubt there's asbestos in that old building.
I have no idea.
Well, thanks for addressing it.